Hello, everyone. Julio Dalla Costa, Director of Technical Accounting at Bramasol. And today, we are furthering our series of accounting advisory tips. Today, we're going to talk about something which is actually outside of the ASC 606 five-step model, and that is cost to obtain, cost to fulfill. And why is it important? As we know, there's a five-step model for ASC 606, starting with the identification of a contract with a customer, all the way down from recognizing revenue when the performance obligations are satisfied. However, there's new guidance under ASC 606 IFRS 15 that talks about cost to obtain and cost to fulfill. So what exactly does that mean? When you talk about the incremental cost of obtaining a contract, let me give you a quick example. If I am providing you a service or good, and as a result of that, I sign a contract with you, usually in some form or fashion, there might have been a salesperson involved. And usually there's a commission to be paid because that contract is now signed. We now have a revenue contract, and then somebody earned a commission amount to be paid. That is an incremental cost of that revenue contract, because it could be argued, according to the FASB, that if I did not sell this contract, the contract would have never been materialized as a revenue recognition contract to be recognized over time. Therefore, the FASB introduced the concept of the incremental cost of obtaining a contract. This is a very big step and a very different approach from previous accounting guidance. Why? If you look at commissions, commissions used to be recognized as they were incurred. So if I have a 12-month contract and I'm recognizing revenue over 12 months, when the salesperson earned that commission, it would usually be the day he signed the contract. So therefore, you recognize all the expense in 1 month. Now, why is that important? That's important because if you think about it, in my example, you actually don't follow GAAP, because GAAP requires you to recognize your cost and your expenses in line with the revenue you're being recognized over. So if I have a 12-month contract, it goes to show that I should be recognizing my expenses over that same 12 months. So what does this mean for companies? This means that actually, instead of expensing $1,000 in 1 month, you actually get to recognize that cost over 12 months. So actually, this is a good thing for companies, because companies get to recognize more revenue and less expense, so we call it smoothing. So you're smoothing those incremental costs over the revenue contract, and now it's in line with FASB concept of matching your expenses to your revenue. So the big so what is all commissions and all incremental costs to obtain a contract is now amortized in the same manner as the revenue that is being generated because of that incremental cost. We see that many companies, especially when it comes to commissions accounting, they have some companies have sophisticated models, some companies are doing it in Excel, but it's something to really consider because it hasn't been done before. So if you haven't done so, it's something to start thinking about now. One last point on incremental cost to obtain is there's a practical expedient. You can immediately expense your cost to obtain if that amortization period is 1 year or less. So if I have a 12-month contract, that's 1 year or less, I'm allowed to, instead of taking that $1,000 in my previous example over the 12 months, I'm allowed to still expense it in month 1, as we used to do under 605. An example of a cost to obtain, very quickly. A company has a bonus plan. Basically, the bonus plan is generated when a company sells revenue contracts. Basically, the takeaway here is all expenses related to commissions has to be capitalized and amortized over the period that the services are provided. So that is an incremental cost. Compare that to a bonus plan based on a combination of EPS and individual performance. Well, there's no incremental in that aspect because the salesperson did not sell a new contract. All the person did was he was at the company for 12 months. The company did well, had a high EPS, did well in his performance evaluation. He gets a bonus. That is not capitalizable because it's not an incremental cost of obtaining a contract. In the last one, there's a cost to fulfill a contract. The cost to fulfill is something that because I have now won a revenue contract, there are certain things that I have to be done. So for instance, if I win a big drilling contract in Africa and I have to build a road from the port to the drilling site, that cost of a road is capitalizable because I need that road to transport my goods and services, my equipment from the port to my drilling pad. And therefore, that is a cost to fulfill, and that will be amortizable as well. Guidance says that you actually go to first look at, is this cost being able to be capitalized under a fixed asset concept? So you always go to fixed assets first. Is it capitalizable? If the answer is no, then you go back to the 606 guidance, which says if it's related directly to a contract, if it's going to generate or enhance my resources and they're expected to be recovered. So when I build that road, the assumption is I've included in my margin the cost to build that road to my customer. This is the cost to fulfill a contract. One last thing, abnormal costs are not considered in the price of the contract. As you can see, cost to obtain, cost to fulfill are new concepts within the ASC 606 guidelines. And we would love to talk to you about these cost to obtain, cost to fulfill, because I'm using our Bramasol revenue accounting health check. We look at revenue accounting process from 4 different aspects and give you best practices, ways to implement, implementation guidance, and ways to automate your revenue accounting process. Thank you very much and have a great day. This is Julio Dalla Costa, Bramasol. Thank you.